Thanks for having us. My name is CHAR STILES.
Hi, and my name is Gorelick. So for the next half hour, you're going to hear a live coding performance, or we call in the community an algo rave, which is an algorithmic rave.
All of the music and visuals that you'll see are being created live, in that the code that you see on the screen is one-to-one exactly what is being created to create the music and the visuals. We're so excited to have you here and watch us jam out. So we're just going to explain a little bit of how we do what we do to this community of programmers. And yeah, so I'll let Dan take it away.
Cool, thanks, Char. So on the right side of the screen, you can see my code here. And the music's going to be a combination of the code and then the synthesizer here. And what I'm using with the code is a tool called TidalCycles. And unlike most traditional programming languages, live coding, you execute one line at a time rather than the whole file. So I'm just going to make a bass drum sound. Let's do an 808 bass drum. And what we have here is a cycle. We can set the tempo, 120 BPM. We'll be doing a little bit of house music today. Let's make a little bit of a different drum sound. Can you hear that, Char?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So everything in these quotations is what's in the pattern or the cycle. So let's just copy the drum and make another one. So now it's going twice as fast, or we can write that as bass drum times 2. And we can have a rest. And then let's just bring in a snare drum, because why not? So an 808 snare drum. We'll bring that in on the second beat. And let's try a different snare drum. Cool. And then let's just bring in some hi-hats. So 808 open hi-hat, and we'll say times 4. Cool. We'll make it a little bit quieter. And what TidalCycles can also do is it can interface with different hardware. So I can send MIDI signals through TidalCycles to my synthesizer. So let's just see what that looks like real quickly. So first of all, we're going to send a MIDI note. Let's send MIDI note 60 to MIDI channel 1. Cool. And now you can hear the synthesizer. And then let's do a little pattern maybe. And then we can make it so it alternates each cycle, like so. Cool, so that's the basics of TidalCycles. And what you're gonna see today, in addition to TidalCycles, is we're doing a little bit of text-to-speech. And you might recognize some common words that are familiar and maybe frustrating when you're programming. So that'll be a little Easter egg that you can look out for later on. Yeah, so now Char can explain a little bit about what's happening with the visuals.
I'm so excited for this. I love jamming with Dan because his music is always so danceable. So what's happening over here on mine on the left side of the screen is GLSL, which is a C syntax language that's executed on the GPU. This code is being run once per pixel, 60 times a second. So if you have a 1920 by 1080 resolution screen and then you got 60 times a second, that's over 100 million times it's being executed. So how we do that is we use math to transform the operation as an input. So the input is the pixel's position. So in this case, it's UV. And so we can use something like length, which is a built-in function of Pythagoras' theorem, shout out Pythagoras, length of UV to create a circle. And the output is a color, which is represented as a vector 4, which is basically just a container for red channel, green channel, blue channel. So we need to cast this as a vector 4, and now we see our circle. So we see the length that the pixel is to the center of the screen is represented by the color. And then we can break this off into the different color channels. So like, let's say like the red channel is the length, and then the blue channel is just going to be like UV dot, one of my favorite quick things is UV dot y divided by UV dot x. You kind of get this like nice Fourier pattern of x, and then the green channel will be like UV dot x times like 20. I love, and then the alpha channel doesn't really matter. You can just make that whatever you want. And then let's say we multiply this times time, and which is an ever increasing number. This doesn't look very good. But anyways, that's how you create visuals on the GPU. So without further ado, we're just going to get started with our set. We're really excited to have y'all with us in this jam today.
Yeah, and both Char and I are based in New York, and we're part of the livecode.nyc community. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you ready, Char? Let's just jam out.
Let's go for it.
Cool. All right, so here's the full live coding performance.
Center the div. Elements. Elements. Controlled components. Reconciliation. Keys. Cannot read property. Length. Cannot read property of undefined. Bundlers. Reconciliation. Keys. Cannot read property. Length. Uncontrolled component. Package managers. Single page application components. Components. Center the div. Uncontrolled component. Cannot read property of undefined component. Uncontrolled component. Bundlers. Cannot read property. Controlled components. Controlled components. Package managers. Single page application. Cannot read property of undefined methods. Cannot read property of undefined. Keys. Cannot read property. Center the div. Cannot read property. Controlled component. Cannot read property. Cannot read property. Center the div. Uncontrolled. Cannot read reconcile. Controlled. Cannot read single reconcile. Event. Cannot read elements. Lifecycle. Center the package man. JS component keys. Package man component. JS conciliation. ASN. Read property conciliation. Cycle ease. Read bundle. Pro ASEs. Summon ease. ASN. Pro cycle ease. Concealment. Cycle trend. Send country. Read can read rolled compondlers. Rolled ASN. Rolled controlled. Center the div. Elements. Ease. Cycle met. Center the div. Components. Controlled. Read property. Read property. Elements. Conciliate. Ease. Components. CDM. Ease. Elements. Ease. Conciliate. Property. SN. Conciliate. Read property. Bundlers. Conciliate. Read property. Single page compiler. Center the div. Elements. Compilers. Controlled. Center the div. ASN. Center the div. Rolled EDM. Center the div. Bundlers. Ease. Components. ASN. Bundlers. ASN. Compiler. Center the div. EDM. Ease. ASN. Conciliate. ASN. Ease. Package manager. Center the div. Cycle met. EDM. Ease. Read property. SN. Read property. Bundlers. Property. AS. Conciliate. Read conciliate. Ponies. Center pitch. Mingle. Concealment. Bundle. AS. Center. Mingle. Band. Compile. Cycle. Bundle. Roll. AS. Roll. Control. Center. Ease. Cycle. Center. Control. Read promo. Conciliate. Ease. Pony. Ease. Summon. Ease. Conciliate. Read. AS. Conciliate. Read. Bundle. Conciliate. Read. Mingle. Compile. Center. Ease. Summon. Compile. Control. Center. AS. Center. Roll. DD. Center. Bundle. Ease. Pony. AS. Bundle. AS. Compile. Center. DD. AS. Conciliate. AS. Ease. Pitch. Center. Cycle. Ease. Read. AS. Read. Bundle. Pro. AS. Ease. Summon. Ease. ASN. Pro. Cycle. Ease. Concealment. Cycle. Band. Compilement. Ease. Summon. Roll. Center. Roll. Control. Pitch. AS. Single. Bundle. Control. Pro. Center. Band. Mingle. Pro. AS. Roll. Mingle. Pitch. Roll. Band. Roll. Control. Mingle. Compile. DD. Cycle. Control. Bundle. Read. Center. Control. Mingle. Center. Compile. Center. DD. Mingle. Control. Pitch. Center. Compile. Center. Mingle. Center. Control. DD. Control. Center. DD. Cycle. Center. DD. Control. Pitch. Mingle. Center. Control. Bundle. Read. Roll. Pitch. Mingle. Pro. Cycle. Pro. Ponies. Read. Center. Read. Roll. Pro. Center. Control. Ease. Compile. DD. Read. AS. Roll. AS. Summon. Pro. Center. Mingle. Pitch. Pro. Pitch. AS. Bundle. Center. Control. Pro. Mingle. Pitch. Cycle. Mingle. Center. Mingle. Pro. Roll. Pro. Mingle. Consent. Pro. Cycle. Center. Pitch. AS. Ponies. Pitch. Pony. AS. AS. Read. AS. Ponies. Center. Pitch. Mingle. Concealment. Bundle. AS. Center. Mingle. Band. Compile. Cycle. Bundle. Roll. AS. Roll. Control. Center. Elements. Mingle page. Center the div. Mingle page. Property. Conciliate. Roll. Property. Mingle page. Conciliate. Property elements. Cycle. Center the div. Pitch manager. ASN. Components. Ease. Pitch manager. Components. ASN. Ease. Elements. Ease. ASN. Ends. Property of undefined. Cycle methods. Ease. Cycle methods. Ease. Conciliation. Elements. Controlled components. Single page application. Components. Elements. DDM. Cycle methods. Compilers. Conciliation. Rolled components. Bundlers. Read property. Length. Center the div. Conciliation. Controlled components. Single page application. Center the div. Compilers. Rolled components. Compilers. Center the div. DDM. Single page application. properties leg. Read properties leg. ASN. Conciliation. Ease. Read properties leg. Property of undefined. Ondulars. Conciliation. Ease. Read properties leg. Single page application. Compilers. Center the dip. Ease. Compilers. Compilers. Controlled components. Property of undefined cycle method. Property center the dip. Single page manager. Property manager. ASN. Ondulars. Center the dip. Ondulars. Center the dip. Controlled property compiler. Single page manager. Cycle method. Single page. Center the dip. Single page. Property conciliate. Controlled property. Single page. Conciliate. Property element. Cycle method. Center the dip. Pitch manager. ASN. Common. Pitch manager. Common. ASN. Conciliate. ASN. Read property. Conciliate. ASN. Common. Center the dip. Pitch manager. Center the dip. Pitch manager. Single page. Conciliate. Ondulars. ASN. Center the dip. Center the dip. Single page. Compiler. Cycle method. Ondulars. ASN. Controlled. Center the dip. Cycle method. Center the dip. Controlled. Read property. Read property. Conciliate. Common. CVM. Conciliate. Read property. Read property. ASN. Conciliate. Read property. Property. Ondulars. Conciliate. Read property. Single page. Compiler. Center the dip. Compiler. Controlled. Center the dip. ASN. Center the dip. Center the dip. Hold. CVM. Center the dip. Ondulars. Common. ASN. Ondulars. ASN. Compiler. Center the dip. CVM. ASN. Conciliate. ASN. Pitch manage. Center the dip. Cycle method. CVM. Read property. ASN. Read property. Ondulars. Property. ASN. ASN. Property. Cycle method. Conciliate. Cycle method. Compiler. Controlled. Center the dip. Controlled. Pitch manage. ASN. Single page. Ondulars. Controlled. Property. Single page. Center the dip. Single page. Property. Center the dip. Center the type. Read ondulars. Cycle method. Compiler. Conciliation. Gold components. Ondulars. Read property. Leg. Center the diff. Conciliation. Controlled components. Single page application. Single page application. Center the diff. Compilers. Gold components. Compilers. Center the diff. BDM. Single page application. BDM. Single page application. This property of undefined. Controlled components. Page manager. Center the diff. Compiler. Center the diff. property, length. Bundlers. Cannot read property of undefined.